football podcast for everyone and everyone else. I'm your host, John Buhler, lead writer at fansided.com. I'm joined today by a man who I think has had Laffy Taffy before. I'm not sure if he knows how to pop lock and drop it, but he's a little headstrong. He'll take on anyone. Cody Williams, content director at fansided.com. How the hell are you?
Doing good, man. And we'll be doing a lot better. While you're here, while you're checking out the show, you need to smash that like button like it's Mason Rudolph's head and you're Miles Garrett, brother. Just take that helmet and just smash that like button. Get after it. We appreciate everyone watching, but I'm doing good, man. It's a beautiful Thursday here in Los Alamos, and getting to the point now where wishing we had some air conditioning in this house, that's for sure.
You don't have any in there?
Nope, nope. We got central heat, not central air.
Oh, yeah, that's the Chicago life for me. It wasn't fun. They expect me to go out there and buy one and assemble it myself. No, I'm a writer, not a repairman, man.
If I wanted to go into HVAC, I couldn't, but I wouldn't have done it either. So
No. You get the sweatshirt on. Also, you're dealing with altitude, so it's really cold in the morning, really cold at night, and a hot disaster day.
Dude, I wear the sweatshirt until about 9:30 in the morning, and then I'm like, okay, like strategically have to take it off because it's about to start getting warm in here.
Yeah, I've got the living room main area AC right above me, and when I do the Blog and Dirty podcast, be sure to check that out too as well. I have to turn off because it picks up everything, and midway through, I'm just sweating through my face, just like I'm like flying a plane on an airplane.
You just look like Dan Quinn on the sidelines, just sweating bullets, man.
I mean, with hair and a potential and an ability not to blow leads, but that's how it goes here.
Exactly. Dan Quinn, but not.
We share the same birthday, so I mean, I get it.
Kindred spirits, just not kindred hair follicles.
Yeah, people born on 9/11 include Dan Quinn, John Buhler, Tom Landry, Paul Bear Bryant, Ellis Burks, and two people that do Brit music, like Richard Ashcroft of The Verve and Johnny Copeland of Coldplay.
I'm gonna be honest, it sounds like you should have gone into coaching based off of what we just heard.
Well, the problem is nobody listens to me. So, I mean, it'd be like that.
Oh man.
Yeah, if I went into coaching, maybe I'd want to have one of these guys on the team. We've obviously false started here. We're going to go with our first and 15 with some TIN 10.
10.
10. Yeah, watching The Righteous Gemstones, the Arizona State podcast, and everybody in there has a very southern, like the Charlestonian accent, which is like everybody sounds like Tennessee Williams. Great Uncle Tennessee.
It sounds like you have like hot butter and a marble in your mouth.
I never heard the word declare so much more in my life.
I declare.
There's no Frank Underwood nonsense going on here, but ESPN's Adam Rittenberg put out the 25 best non-quarterbacks in college football. So of these players, Cody and I picked 10 apiece, and we'll rank them. I don't know all these names. I just know the ones that I know, and I'm going to talk about them. So you start with your 10th. Who is the number 10 on your board of these players?
So I went with Katron Allen, one of the running backs at Penn State. I love the running back tandem that Penn State has, but I do think Katron Allen is probably the lesser of the two. He is more of the bulldozer, the big back. I mean, he moves well for his size, but in terms of playmaker, he's more the guy, hey, it's 3rd and 3 and we're going to run it up the middle and you're going to get us a first down. Not, hey, we need a 20-yard run. Can you break this off?
Yeah, it's very Penn State heavy for me, just for the record, and I do have Katron Allen coming up a little bit later, but I kind of agree with you, though. He's second of the two Penn State running backs, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. So, and at number 10, I've got another running back. I've got Texas A&M running back, Le'Veon Moss. I kind of feel that, like, with the mobile nature of Marcel Reed, with Colin Klein's expertise in running the football as a quarterback, I think the fact that they have Ruben Owens there and in College Station, I think that like this is a big year for Le'Veon Moss. Plus, like I think A&M like throughout the last 10 years or so, they usually run the football pretty well, kind of banking on what he could do this year at 10. So that's why I've got him there.
So I have Le'Veon Moss at 11, like just outside, but like I like the player quite a bit. Frankly, I wish they would use him more. Like last year, I didn't think they got the ball in his hands nearly enough, especially with the quarterback inconsistency that they had. Like I just felt like he's very clearly a very good player, but I want him to like give him the ball. That would help.
And I think eventually they'll do it. I mean, Mike Elko's a defensive-minded coach. Whenever you've got a guy like that, like there's no defensive-minded coach like, yeah, throw the ball more. Nobody's ever
Yeah,
said
let's
that.
air it out. Yeah, that
Let's
doesn't
air
exist.
it. Yeah. No wonder why Zach Arnett had such a hard time at Mississippi State.
That's right.
It's use hot ice to kill that wind. You can just water.
You heat up the ice cubes, man. I don't know.
All right. So who do you have at 9?
At 9, I have Florida defensive tackle Caleb Banks. Dude's a monster, man. Like I think he had like 7.5 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks from the interior last year. Tipping the scales at 330, but doesn't move like it. Like he's one of those dudes like that we're accustomed to seeing a Georgia have, that we're accustomed to seeing an Alabama have on the defensive front, and he just happens to play at Florida. He's that type of guy because he plays on the interior. I don't know if he's going to be a first round pick, but he's going to be probably an easy top 100 pick whenever he enters the draft.
Yeah, I don't have him on my list, but Banks is certainly the type of player that Billy Napier needs to, hold serve with Georgia, LSU, and make sure to keep Florida State down and help Florida essentially get back to winning about 8 to 10 games a year and see if they can be in the playoff. But I think you're right though, the talent's there, but like to what degree is he going to
Yeah.
be that impactful with the position he plays? Upsides there. It's hard for me to tell, but at number let's see, who do I have at number 9? Number 9, I've got Oregon outside linebacker Mateo Uyunglele. I
Okay,
think just
nice.
the guy is just a immense talent. Obviously, the younger brother of DJ. I think initially he was going to play tight end at Oregon. They moved him around. I think just the nature of how Oregon's recruited under Dan Lanning and probably even under Mario Cristobal before that,
Mhm.
like they get like raw specimens and stuff like that. And I think there's a chance that he could be some variation of Kayvon Thibodeau. I think that like the upside there, I think Oregon needs some juice here. And I think he's going to be able to provide. I think like Le'Veon Moss. I think he's due for a pretty good year.
Yeah, I also did not have him in my top 10. Fully agree with everything you're saying. It's not a disrespect to the player. It's just, and like the talent is clearly there. It's more about putting the results together. Like you look at someone like Banks, like he's already had a pretty phenomenal season for an interior defensive lineman. Uyunglele hasn't necessarily put that all together. Like he's had a fine season, but you want to see a little bit more production from him, from at least from my perspective.
And again, for the starters out there, I expected this TIN tend to be all over the place just
Yeah,
because like we have our favorites and we have guys that we want to see more and learn more about. But like I'm sure that towards the top 5 or 6 will be largely the same players.
yeah, I'm sure like the 7 through 10, 6 through 10 range is a little discombobulated, but there's a pretty consensus near the top there that it's going to be hard. But at 8, I have someone who Adam Rittenberg didn't mention in a piece that would kind of inspired this. Cam Coleman at Auburn, going to be a true
Right.
sophomore. With Peyton Thorne throwing the ball, had 600 yards and 8 touchdowns last year. We don't know how good Jackson Arnold's going to be, but I have to imagine it's probably better than Peyton Thorne. And if you got a guy like Cam Coleman, like he was an absolute matchup problem. And like he didn't get the shine because you have some other guys on this list who were true freshman wide receivers last year and were a little bit higher on this list. But I think he's due for a big, big time season this year with Auburn.
Yeah, I didn't have Cam Coleman on my list, but again, it's all about is Jackson Arnold good? And if
Again,
he's
it's a
good,
big question.
it's a big question there. Also, I think what was it? Wrote something for fanside.com about like the nature of like upsets. Brad Crawford for CBS Sports. It's like, yeah, Auburn could beat Georgia and Athens. I'm like, that's not happening. I'm
No.
sorry. Like it's everything else. Tennessee could lose to Syracuse and Atlanta. Like, but Auburn's not losing to Georgia and Athens.
Yeah.
They might, but and hell might freeze over. But like, I'm not banking on that. But I do think Auburn's exponentially better. I'm gonna go 8 and 7 real quick, just because they're both Penn State. 8's where I've got Katron Allen, and 7's where I've got defensive end Danny Dennis Sutton.
Mhm.
So basically with Katron Allen, it's and again like okay, this obviously leads to believe Nicholas Singleton will be higher up on my list as well.
Right.
Katron Allen was kind of more of a newcomer to this than Nicholas Singleton, who we've known about in the last 2 years. Allen kind of more of this past year. Again, like he's the kind of guy. I mean, they're similar in playing style, but I feel that like Singleton's the guy that's like going to be the battering ram to really break it open, whereas like Allen kind of more or less cleans up. I could be wrong here, but that's just kind of how I felt they were there.
Yeah.
And with Dennis Sutton, I think it's Dennis with 2 ends. If it's French, it's 1 end, so it's Denise Sutton there.
I have no idea. I'm gonna say Dennis Sutton because that's how I say it, but you don't want to rely on me for
Yeah,
pronunciation. We know that
yeah.
very well at this point.
Yeah, you might have him up on your list higher than this. But I think it's like Penn State's always got good linebackers, edge rushers, stuff of that nature. We've seen Micah Parsons be a tremendous success. We've seen Abdul Carter. He's next up, but again, it's kind of like the same sort of thing where like Abdul Carter took so much shine. It's time for me to see what he can do. I'm really excited. There's other guys ahead of him on my list that I've just seen a little bit more out of, and that's fine. I want to be pleasantly surprised. I'm
So
very high on Penn State this year.
we are high on Penn State. I actually do not have Dennis Sutton in my top 10. I have him at 12 behind Le'Veon Moss. And it kind of comes down to what you just said about Abdul Carter. I need to see what he looks like without Abdul Carter because I feel like a good amount of his production based on what I saw last year was the attention that was being paid to Abdul Carter. And I do think Dennis Sutton's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but I need to see how impactful he can be without the number 2 overall or number 3 overall pick, number 2, I can't remember what the draft was like. Feels like it was years ago, but a top 3 pick in the NFL draft without him like on the opposite edge.
So totally agree there. Who do you have at 7 then?
At 7, I have Peter Woods out of Clemson, just because dudes aren't supposed to be built like this and move like this. Like 315 pounds, and you have the ability to play on the edge. Like he legitimately reminds me of Calais Campbell. That's the type of player we're talking about here. Like just a freak who like doesn't seem possible for him to be able to move as well as he does and be as versatile as he is, and quality in all those aspects. Like I truly think that Woods could end up being a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, but I would have him higher based, if he had done a little bit more, but he still has nice production to his credit. So I don't want to like fault him for that, but I want to see a little bit more this season. That's why I only have him at 7. But I'm all in on Peter Woods, man. Like that's going to be one of my draft guys going into next year.
He was number 11 for me. Again, it's the
Yeah.
position defensive tackle. That's really the big thing. I really wanted to have a Clemson player on here because, to counterbalance how much Penn State love I've shown on this list. But like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, again, like we know like if he was more of a bigger known commodity, like Mason Graham was coming into this past year, I'd probably have him in there
Yeah.
over Le'Veon Moss and stuff. But like, I feel like there's a better chance of giving Le'Veon Moss the ball than for Peter Woods to blow stuff up. But even though I think that he probably will.
Yeah, 100%. I totally see that argument. That this is definitely a Cody crush, more or less. Like that's what it comes down to.
I'm gonna go on a limb here. I think we probably have the same guys in the top 6.
It's entirely possible.
Okay, so at 6 for me, I've got South Carolina edge rusher Dylan Stewart. That's who
As
I've
do
got at
I.
6.
As do I at number 6.
Okay, there was a really interesting article written about him. But this in this article, defensive coordinator Clayton White, who that might be a guy to watch to be a head coach here pretty soon.
Yeah.
His side of the ball is fantastic there. Anytime you got a guy who's being compared to Jadeveon Clowney and Kyle Kennard, like that means a lot to me coming from South Carolina. This is a guy, he kind of plays a lot like I think Leonard Floyd did at Georgia,
Mm.
where it's just like he's back there, he's wreaking havoc. Is he going to finish the drill? There's a little bit, I don't know if the instincts are good, but is the football savvy quite there?
Yeah.
So I want to see him put it all together. But I think he's probably closer to Clowney and Kennard than probably Jordan Birch. So I think this is a guy that I think could be potentially SEC Defensive Player of the Year.
I agree completely. And I really like the Leonard Floyd like comparison because Stewart's a little bit bigger. Like I think he's just more filled out at this point than Floyd was at Georgia. Floyd was a beanpole at Georgia, but Stewart like and Floyd when they rush, like kind of what you're talking about with like the almost ostensibly a lack of a rush plan. Like they just come at you like a banshee. Like it's just like a flying like bowling ball of limbs coming at you off the edge with tremendous explosiveness. And like that's a fun player to watch, but it's also an effective player on top of that.
Yeah, it's he's just a bully ball of butcher knives, just going after like
Yeah,
just
exactly.
go, boys. This is a guy that Gus Malzahn probably wish he could coach.
Oh, 100%. He wants to break it down with Dylan Stewart.
He
There's
would
no doubt.
break it down with Dylan. All right, at number 5 is where I have Penn State running back Nicholas Singleton.
Same. Once again, same.
Anything we want to add to him other than like we just trust him a little more than Catron Allen, and we've known him a little bit longer.
He just has a little bit more big play threat. And I think that's why like it stands out to me. Like you're not wrong that they are very similar in terms of like just 2 guys who consistently move the chains. But with Allen, I don't see as much or as frequent of the ability to break one loose and like kind of like get those chunk plays in the open field. Like Allen doesn't necessarily have the same amount of speed. Like if I had to put a number on it, which I'm bad at this, so take it with a grain of salt, but like Nick Singleton's probably running somewhere in the mid 4.4s. Katron Allen's probably someone running somewhere in the mid 4.5s. And like that is a difference in the open field when you're talking about that type of stuff.
A little bit. I also think Singleton's a little bit more clutch. I think he had a lot of
Yeah.
those big plays versus Notre Dame. Yeah, Penn State didn't win that game, but I kind of felt like he made that game.
Hmm.
It could go either way, or I don't know. It's like picking between Nick Chubb and Sonny Michelle back in Georgia.
Right.
It's so
100%.
difficult. Obviously, we know how it changed there in the NFL, but okay. At four is where this will probably be different. I know he's in there for you. Four, I've got Ohio State safety Caleb Downs. I would put him up
Okay.
there much higher, but again, it's the position of
Mhm.
safety. How impactful can you be? I think he might be the most talented player in college football, but again, it's the position he plays. He could probably bring home the Thor. I don't know if he's going to play the receiver, get the Politikoff, but like this is a like a Nagurski type of player there. That's why I've got him at four.
So I'll get to Caleb Downs in just a second. At four, I have Ryan is where I have Ryan Williams.
Okay.
And Ryan Williams for me, like phenomenal talent, especially for being as young as he is. He's finally 18, shouts to being of age. And I know big win for the Alabama program there. A phenomenal player. The one thing I'm looking for from him in the 2025 season is I want to see him be more consistently impactful. Like I think that he was impactful with big plays, but I want to see him be an 8, 9 catch a game guy. Like I want to see him be the guy. And like I'm sure the fact that he was 17 years old and still maturing physically had a lot to do with the fact that he wasn't that. So like I fully expect him to be that, but I just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I have Ryan Williams at three for
And that's where
similar
I have Caleb
reasons.
Downs is at 3. So yeah.
Yeah. So I'll give Ryan Williams, you get some Caleb Downs thoughts,
Yeah.
and we'll go into our top two with they both have the same first name, sort
They
of.
they do. Spelled slightly differently, but same first name.
I think Ryan Williams is the most like instinctive receiver I've seen since Larry Fitzgerald at Pitt.
Hmm.
Calvin Johnson a little bit too, but Calvin Johnson was also ultra physical at Georgia Tech. Ryan Williams, again, he was playing like what should have been his senior year of high school, early enrolled, did phenomenal things against Georgia and made my night off of that one point.
Yeah.
But like, I do kind of feel he hit a wall there is his end of his freshman year. It could have probably helped Alabama get to the playoff if he would have been maybe a
Hmm.
little bit older, a little more mature. Not his fault. I mean, playing way out of his league and thriving. Just a guy that I think probably stands the best chance of helping Alabama get to the playoff. Because I
Hmm.
think if Ty Simpson's got good rapport with him, I think that gets them to 9 or 10 wins, and then you're right there.
No, I mean it makes perfect sense. And one thing I did want to say, like once we got to this top four, like I'm splitting hairs here. Like these are four very good players. And I mean, honestly, if you want to throw Nick Singleton in there, like I think he might be a slight tier below, but like this top four specifically, these are very good players. And like if we were to throw quarterbacks into this and like rank like, the just the top 10 players in college football, this still might be the top four, truly. Like I think that they like I'm not sure there's a quarterback who's necessarily separated himself as much as these players have.
No, like at this point, like I mean, you're probably looking at this at like what it be Sellers and Klubnik probably near the top there.
Yeah, Sellers,
And
Klubnik, and
Nussmeyer,
Nussmeyer, and
yeah,
like Aller's not there yet. Like it's like you're probably looking at those three, and I still have enough questions about those three. Like Sellers needs to improve as a passer. Cade Klubnik needs to prove that it wasn't just last year. Like we've only seen like maybe 8 games of it. Like beginning of last year, he was still looked like the guy we saw in 2023. So like there's still questions about all that. Like
yeah,
Nussmeyer needs to
win
win
more.
football games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that would be super helpful to my case and love for Garrett Nussmeyer. But like these are probably the top four players in college football at large, not just non quarterback division.
Yeah. So what do you got for you got anything for Downs other than what
For
we've said?
I mean, I like your points about like the position are well taken. I do think the reason why I'm comfortable putting him at 3 is he does offer you more than just playing an elite defensive back. Like he has the return game that goes
Right.
into there too. And like we saw it impact Ohio State games frequently last year. Like not necessarily, taking one to the house or anything like that, but switching fields. And like when you're a team as talented as Ohio State, if you're winning the field position battle, 9 times out of 10, you're winning the game as well.
100%. So at number two, probably the same guy. I mean, Notre Dame running back, Jeremiah
Yes,
Love.
sir.
This guy's going to be a top 10 pick. This
Yeah.
guy is going to be, I would be stunned if anybody else won the Doak Walker besides him. We're looking at a guy. I mean, honestly, if the Cowboys don't get it together this year, maybe draft him in the top 12.
Let's do it, man. I'm all in on it. Like Jeremiah Love is phenomenal, man. Like watching him against Ohio State when he was banged up, not healthy, and just like watching him still try to put the team on his back, I was like, this dude is built a little differently. Like this is a workhorse, and like truly he would have been the second running back taken in this past year's class, which was a great running back class, but it would have been Ashton Genty and Jeremiah Love. And honestly, there's probably a debate for who's the better running back prospect.
I've been trying to figure out like who the comp is for Jeremiah Love. The best I've got is probably akin to Saquon Barkley. There's similar
You know who he
things there.
reminds me of? I'm gonna go a little further back. He reminds me of Priest Holmes.
Okay, yeah,
I like that's the type of runner I see. Like has enough size that like you can't like you're not gonna bring him down with arm tackles or anything like that, but also like has just like this elusiveness that's really hard to define. Like he's just hard to get hands on.
yeah, because it's like he's not that Marshall Faulk, LaDainian Tomlinson, Bijan Robinson, Saquon thing where it's like I'm gonna receive out of the backfield. Like he'll do it, but it's kind of more of like Priest Holmes. It's like we're just gonna get him the ball and in space, he's gonna make it happen.
Right,
So like
exactly.
there's also a physical component there. Phenomenal player. Yeah, Notre Dame's lucky to have him, and whoever drafts him in the NFL next year is lucky to have him too. And then at number one, we have Ohio State wide receiver Jeremiah Smith, who was
Everyone act shocked and appalled. Oh my
uh,
God, Jeremiah Smith.
no, I didn't think we'd see the next Jamar Chase, and then we saw the next Jamar Chase.
He's so good, man.
It's
It's
unbelievable.
infuriating. Like I, I, as not an Ohio State fan, I get pissed off when Ohio State's not just force feeding this kid. Like he's that good. Like he's talk about someone who needs like 12 targets a game. Like just get the ball in his hands. No one can defend him. Like there are not enough defensive backs in college football that are capable of defending a dude who is this big, this fast, and this like agile. Like he's just the fact that we saw him come in at 18 years old and like perform at the level he did is just truly you don't see it. Like you say the next Jamar Chase, like truly I think he's better than Jamar Chase because he did not like I like you had Joe Burrow throwing to Jamar Chase at that point. You had Will Howard throwing to Jeremiah Smith, and that's a big
Right
drop off.
now, it's like it's still a big drop off, whether it's Julian Sayin or
Yeah.
Lincoln Kineholtz at this point. So, but like again, like freshmen, like being this impactful, this immediately, it's like Herschel Walker's the last guy to do this.
Yeah. It's a very rare thing.
So I mean, I would argue that like he could probably turn pro after he could turn pro after his freshman year if he really wanted to.
Oh,
But
100%. I mean like I if I was an Ohio State fan, I would be slightly worried about what the 2026 season for Jeremiah Smith is going to look like because I feel like there might be some sore ankles or something going on there. Just making sure you're protecting that draft stock.
100%. You also have NFL pedigree. Your cousin's Geno Smith, one of the best players in
Hmm.
West Virginia history. Uh, a great quarterback who's salvaged his career after being jettisoned with the Jets on the Jetty.
Being Jets to death, yeah.
So I guess before we turn the page on our next bit, like just you look forward to the 2027 NFL draft. Who do you think could be in contention to who's going to be really bad need receivers at this point? Like the top three. Like I'm taking this guy number like three behind like uh, I'd take him over Arch, man. Like at this point.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you definitely could. I'm looking at you think about a team, and it depends on what they do in next year's draft, which is what makes us hard to project. But like, I the Patriots still seem like they're a ways away. And like if you need playmakers at that point, like I do think, but that would also probably mean Drake May doesn't work out, which I don't think is going to happen. I think he's a good quarterback. So I don't know. Like maybe someone like just because I don't think that they're going to be smart about quarterback and their defense is going to be good enough this year to carry them a little bit. Maybe someone like the Steelers, like you go out, you get a veteran quarterback, and then you try to get a wide receiver who can actually make an impact. Because right now you have DK Metcalf, who is fine, but that's literally all you have in that wide receiver room. So like something like that might make sense.
And I'm sure Steelers fans will gaslight him into oblivion too.
Oh yeah, 100%.
The team that I think is going to be the Saints because I think they're going to be awful in this next year. They're going to draft Klubnik or Nussmeier or Aller or something like that. Going to probably stink to high heaven next year, and then you got to get them some sort of help. So
I mean, that
that's.
makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
I also think that like there's a chance. I thought about like who else could potentially like the Titans may need to get somebody for Cam Ward
Hmm.
too at some point, but even then, like by that point, we'll know if Cam Ward's good or not.
I mean, maybe the Browns. I think you throw the
Yeah.
Browns in there. Like if Shador doesn't work out this year and they decide to, draft a quarterback highly next year, whether that's Klubnik, Nussmeier, whoever it may be, like I think that can make sense too. Because right now you got Jerry Jeudy. That's your number one.
That's frightening, and the same sort of thing would apply if Kate Klubnik had Goldilocks. We're gonna move on to our next topic. Dude, I saw something where like people with like I think he has like sandy brown hair, but like I saw a picture on Facebook of old Georgia Tech basketball coach Bobby Crimmins with like really blonde hair in the 80s, like coaching like John Sally and Mark Price in the mid 80s.
Love that.
Also put Mark Price in the basketball Hall of Fame. He belongs.
Oh God, yeah. Mark Price is a dude. Love Mark Price.
Yeah, I know. One of the greatest Cavs of all time, one of the greatest Jackets of all time. But I'm trying to think. ESPN also just a lot of ESPN stuff today. They released their top 10 head coaches in college football. So could now kind of go through the top 10, maybe a little bit outside, and give who we think that ESPN's collectively too hot, too cold, or just right on. So who do you think ESPN's too hot on?
Brother, why is Kyle Whittingham in this top 10? What are we
Uh,
doing, man? I think
yeah,
Kyle Whittingham's a good coach. Like, dude, I'm not like disparaging him, but like he is not consistent enough of a head coach for him to be in this top 10. Like, we saw what happened last year. It was not good. It was not pretty. Utah was pretty damn bad last year. And like he has I understand like you can't even use the Utah excuse anymore. Like you've been a power conference team for a hell of a long time now. Like that's not an excuse anymore. Like if you are a good coach, you're at least maintaining some level of consistency, and then you can have the pop years. But like that consistency, if you're going to be in this top 10, looks like 8, 9 wins. It doesn't look like 6 wins.
I didn't even know what to do with his name. He's the one that I didn't put in any category. I'm like, I just played on no contender. I'm just like, I don't even know what to.
I think
I
he's
don't know.
easily top 20. Like I don't have an
Yeah,
argument with him being a good, like a well-respected college football coach. But number 9 is just rich.
a little bit here. Mine are very subtle. First one I'm gonna talk on is Dan Lanning. I don't.
Mhm.
I think I feel like he's bit off more than he could chew. Again, he's only entering like his third or fourth year as the Oregon head coach, but like everybody else in this list, maybe with the exception of Matt Campbell, I think has actually won something. I mean, I think he's actually Matt Campbell actually wait. Oh, he did. He beat Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl during COVID at
That's
Iowa
right.
freaking State, man. Like
That's right.
everybody else here is like, won playoff games or won conference championships or
Mhm.
national titles. And you're recruiting at this level, we're expecting it to happen, but it's kind of like I feel it's a little bit overstated. I think he should be closer to like 8 or 9.
No,
So
agreed completely. Like that was the other one I kind of looked at. Like you said, it's subtle. I'm just more strongly convicted when it comes to Whittingham there.
you have anybody else?
I mean, it's not necessarily in the top 10. It's in the others receiving votes category, but Bill Belichick is the 12th coach on this list. And come on, man. We can't be serious with that.
No, I've got Bill Belichick coming up later, not in this segment, but later.
As do I, I'm sure.
The other two I had is I think Marcus Freeman's a little bit too high. I'd probably swap him with Steve Sarkisian.
Mhm.
I think that we're kind of being prisoners of the moment a little bit. I feel that like there's the Marcus Freeman will have a Mark Richt letdown game every year. That's
Mhm.
happening.
Yeah,
And then I also said Kalen DeBoer. It's like we it's hard. Like Kalen DeBoer as a whole, yes, but Alabama Kalen DeBoer is bringing that down a little bit.
agreed. Agreed completely.
All right, who are they? Who's ESPN too cold on? Too cold.
So going back down to the others receiving votes category, and I'm trying to count, but it's not formatted in a way where I can count very easily. Looks like at the back end of the top 20, we have Kenny Dillingham. He should be knocking on the door of this top 10, man. Like he took a program that was basically dead in the water and got them to the college football playoff last year, almost upset Texas in the college football playoff at a game that you were at last year. And like I feel like he's still somehow not getting the total respect that he deserves for the complete facelift, complete 180 that this program has done. And it's not just like, I'm not just like, that's not even a prisoner of the moment thing because you go back to when he was at Oregon, that offense was the best it's been since Dan Lanning got there. Like Kenny Dillingham is a freaking phenomenal football coach. And like, I'm not saying he should be in the top 10 because he probably does need to earn his stripes a little more, but like, You have Brian Kelly at 11 and Bill Belichick at 12. He should be ahead of Bill Belichick for sure, but like not like in that same range.
Yeah, it's just too small of a sample size. And unfortunately, I think this is just going to be the lot in life he has. I mean, he's not going to get the respect that he probably deserves. He just needs to keep winning. And one day we'll talk about him in the lights that he probably deserves. Again, he's like 34. He's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
34
He's
years old.
got plenty
He's
of
got it.
time. I'm not worried about him, but
Okay.
I just we don't like to see our Homer Hickam brethren disrespected.
Yes. So for too cold, I mentioned Steve Sarkisian. I think he and Marcus Freeman should be flipped. The two others I have are Matt Campbell and James Franklin. I think
Mhm.
Matt Campbell, for like just what he's asked to do at Iowa State, it's much more difficult than everybody else has to do. Kenny Dillingham's the same sort of thing at Arizona State, but he's just been doing it longer and probably a tougher school to win at, in my opinion. So,
Mhm.
and then James Franklin, like that's a tough one to do. I mean, it's like you could argue all three areas for James Franklin, but I
Yeah.
feel like the floor is just so incredibly high with him. And like at this point, like they're going to finish in the top four this year, unless it's the driving academy, which it still might be. I think just James Franklin's ability to get really good coordinators under him is something that I think we've overlooked for a while.
So James Franklin's my other one, and specifically comparing him to the two coaches directly ahead of him, which are Kalen DeBoer and Dan Lanning. You look at Kalen DeBoer, yes, he did a phenomenal job at Washington, and I'm not taking that away from him, but we still really don't know what this Alabama tenure is going to look like. Like year one was disappointing. And I'm not going to say it was a failure, but it was definitely disappointing based on expectations. And like we've not seen him win at that level consistently. And then you have Dan Lanning, who has been consistent in terms of getting wins, but in terms of the expectation of what Oregon should be doing right now, it should be winning national championships. That's the expectation for Oregon at this point with the way Dan Lanning's recruiting, with like the money that's being invested in that program. And he hasn't done that. He hasn't, frankly, come all that close. And so when you look at James Franklin, he's either always at or exceeding expectations. And like
Pretty
when we
much,
talk
yeah.
about consistency, I value that a ton. Like we make fun of it with the driving academy 10 and 2 all the time, but like there's a lot of those 10 and 2 years where they were expected to go 8 and 4 and he
And,
overachieved. And like I
and
think there's a lot of value in that.
then if you also want to factor in his Vanderbilt and they're just massively
Mhm.
overachieving
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
sometimes I wonder if Maryland wishes they hired him.
I'm
Didn't
sure
let
they
him,
do.
didn't let him go. We'll talk about Maryland a little bit later. And then for just right, I got to go with the top three head coaches with Kirby Smart, Ryan Day, and Dabo Swinney.
And I think they're in
Uh,
the right order too. Like they're
uh,
just that's
mm,
really right.
yeah, I would say just you could kind of argue a little bit. I would be hard pressed to have anybody at one besides Kirby Smart. I think you can kind
Mhm.
of go back and forth between Dabo and Day for two and three. That's maybe more up for debate, but like they're the only active head coaches who've won the playoff. They're perennially in the playoff. They win a lot of big games. They recruit at a high level. I think they just operate at a different level than some of these other coaches. I think Steve Sarkisian is probably the next guy to join them.
Mhm.
Maybe Dan Lanning, but Dan Lanning's got to grow up a lot since dinner.
He really does. He's got to get another rib tat or something. I don't know. But that but so I think I'm really comfortable with having Dabo behind Ryan Day, like at 3 and Ryan Day at 2, just because it feels like Dabo took a longer time to adjust to the new normal in college football. And like Clemson was still good, but they weren't necessarily like we are talking about the perennial playoff contender, like as they were in the the late 2010s. In the early 2020s, we kind of saw that dip off just a little bit. And so when I look at Clemson and see Dabo needing to adjust, Ryan Day adjusted to that a little bit more. And so when you're talking about the top three head coaches in college football, you got to split hairs, and that's the hair I'm willing to split for sure.
Yeah, Dabo's got as many national championships as Kirby, but he does have that slight lull there. And you look at like what Kirby's in 17, and then I think Ryan Day every year, like since he took over, I think in 18 or 19, maybe
Yeah,
20. Like Ohio State and Georgia have been playing in New Year's Six bowls every single January. So like
right.
basically you make that you take that back, like you would have made the playoff every year since 17 for Georgia and like same for Ohio State.
Agreed. Agreed 100%, man. I talking about Ohio State bowl games, it just reminded me somewhat with the news of the Olympic flag football approving NFL players, someone posted a meme and it said Justin Jefferson in the first quarter against Papua New Guinea in flag football Olympics, and it was Jackson Smith and Jigba's Rose Bowl game where he had like 367 receiving yards.
Yeah, I envision well, first off, is there anybody in the Cowboys? Like, first off, I don't necessarily know if I want a Falcon playing this, but they're going to, so I've accepted that.
Right, right. CD would be awesome. I think CD would be
Mhm.
great in flag football. His ability to make guys miss in space, I think, would make a lot of sense.
Falcons best pick. Everyone's gonna say Bijan. It's actually Drake London because Drake London is just gonna just sun them all. And
So I actually brought up that point. I was writing about Devon A-Chain at
yeah,
being a better fit than Tyreek Hill from the Dolphins. And just because I think, well, by the time we get to the Olympics, Tyreek Hill is going to be 33 years old. So, like, there's that
yeah,
factor. But also, Devon A-Chain is just built for flag football. Like, that's basically what Mike McDaniel tries to play with him in the NFL is like get him in space and get him loose. But the one thing I mentioned in that is that people underestimate the ability for jump ball guys in flag football because, like, when you're in the red zone, like, you just throw it up and let a guy go get it. And Drake London's perfect for that.
and like I figure he'll age gracefully. Mike Evans will kind of be on the down tick in 28, and
Mhm.
then like as much as Bijan Robinson is like that's he's still got 3 more years worth of wear and tear in his body.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I love Bijan to death, but I'm not sure his game totally translates to as well as some other players. Like, you look at specifically Devon A-Chain and Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, I think those two guys are much more built for flag football.
I think the quarterback thing, like Lamar Jackson's probably the best fit I think of anybody in this.
Jaden Daniels would be really cool too.
Jaden Daniels would be good. And then obviously we'll see Mahomes will still probably play at a high level. We'll see if the guys who can really spin it like our guys like Drake May, Michael Penix Jr., I think that they could do good. But then they're just in the pocket just throwing darts.
I have a bold prediction that I want you to put a pin in to see how wrong I am. I think Mahomes isn't going to play. I think Mahomes is going to be a coach. I think Mahomes joins the coaching staff.
I could see that. And you gotta have somebody playing defense. I think Jesse Bates, the third, if he's still around, would still be good. Just somebody
Michael
I'm bringing in.
Parsons. Michael
Michael
Parsons.
Parsons. Yeah. Yeah, that's enough Goldilocks. Let's ask some questions, mostly about the Terrapins here. Let's do some do Host or do Host. Maryland has hired former Atlanta Braves executive Jim Smith, James E. Smith as AD. He's had a long track record of working in and around the Atlanta sports area and in Ohio as well. Got a lot of praise here, but do Host, do you think the Jim Smith hire for Maryland's going to work out for the Terps?
I'm gonna go do Haas 1S. I actually do because, like, we've talked a lot. Like, one of the reasons we're as critical of Mike Locksley as we are is because Maryland still has a lot of potential. Like, he has underachieved based on what that job should be, and frankly, based off the talent that he's brought in there too. Because he like Maryland consistently has NFL draft picks going into the league, and they're also consistently 5-7 to 7-5 every single year. Most of the time 6-6, but I'm giving a little margin for error there. But like. And when you look at, Atlanta sports, one thing that under Smith, like when it's been under his watch, when you look at it, they're not afraid to make changes. Like when the changes need to be made, and whether that's wholesale changes, whether that's minor changes, but like they're not afraid to make changes. And I like whenever I see someone like Loxley in a position where you're now hiring a new AD, like that's already a tenuous situation with the head coach. Like, I have no doubt that if Maryland doesn't live up to expectations or, doesn't make a bowl game this year, probably even if they go 6-6, that Mike Locksley's out of there and like you're going to institute changes. And so, I like in terms of a program that needs change and someone who has overseen several changes, I like the fit there.
Yeah, do Host 1S all the way. This is going to be the same thing like Georgia Tech hiring J Pat.
Exactly.
It's that type of a dynamic change here. And I know like we don't necessarily talk about ADs as much as we should, but this is what matters here. So what is it up? Jim Smith, he's undergrad at Northwestern, master's at Ohio State, and I believe he's worked for Ohio State Alumni Association. He's worked for Columbus Crew. He's worked for the Atlanta Braves, Atlanta Falcons, A&B Sports through Arthur Blank, so probably Atlanta United too. So
Mhm.
he's got work with NFL, MLB, MLS, and college sports. He got rave reviews from all sorts of people. Again, he gets introduced as the athletic director today at Maryland at noon Eastern
Mhm.
in College Park. So um, he's like when you've got people like Gene Smith, the former Ohio State AD, Rich McKay of the Falcon or A&B Sports, Derek Schiller of the Braves.
Mhm.
When you've got people like that of note giving you Tony Petitti, like people giving like that, giving you praise,
Yeah.
you got to be very excited about it. I think the other thing is he's been the guy in charge of the 25 All-Star game here in Atlanta at Truist Park, kind of the point of contact. I think the big thing we've always said about Maryland is like you've got the founding thing of Under Armour here. You've got players in the DMV area. Like I feel like you could generate a lot more revenue than what you're actually doing.
Mhm.
And this is a guy that I think's going to help in a lot of ways. The problem is he looks like Tom Crane, and that scares me.
I mean, it could scare anybody looking like Tom Crean. I get it. But I also I think that you talk about his well-traveledness. I think that benefits Maryland. Like I think the worst thing Maryland could do is hire someone with Maryland ties, quite frankly. Like I think that would be a mistake on their part because you I this sounds terrible, but I mean it positively, but like he's going to come in there and be ruthless. And that's what Maryland needs. Maryland needs someone that isn't going to be complacent, isn't going to be like, hey, at least we're going to a bowl game every year. Like, there's not going to be any of that. He's going to want the best out of this, and there's risk in that. When you take a big swing, you can either strike out or you hit a home run. Like that's kind of how it goes. And so, like, I understand the inherent risk in that, but for a program like Maryland that's just mired in mediocrity, like I think that's what you have to do.
100%. So I was looking at this and like, why has Maryland been this mediocre? I'm like, who's the previous AD? Damon Evans. And I'm like, uh,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So as a Georgia guy, I've got a rich history with Damon Evans here. He was, I think, the AD from '04 to 10. And I think he got ousted due to like some sort of scandal there.
Hmm.
That's when Greg McGarity took over, and then obviously Josh Brooks is now running the shop there in Athens. But like it didn't end very well for Damon Evans here at Georgia. Goes to Maryland, was there for a while, then gets this, and then I think he left for SMU.
Mm.
Um, so maybe he wants to reset it as like a Scott Satterfield sort of thing. But like Maryland at that time, I think they made the change to go to the Big Ten and everything like that. Still haven't quite. I feel like they've struggled with it more than Rutgers has in some
Honestly, yeah.
ways.
Yeah, I mean, like Rutgers outside of Shiano is a different story, but like they found a guy who knows, like, who can get Rutgers to a respectable level in the Big Ten, whereas Maryland is basically at the same level as Rutgers, which if you're Maryland football, that doesn't feel respectable.
And then Rutgers had to move up from essentially the old Big East, which is now the new AAC. So like they're
Right.
leveling up and they're trying Jennifer.
Yeah, 100%.
They're trying Brandy. That's what they're doing. But yeah, I don't think this bodes well for Locksley long term.
No.
And it kind of makes you wonder though. It feels like, that's what Smith's gonna do. He's gonna hire somebody else to replace Locksley here. And I don't know if there's anybody with Atlanta, Ohio State, or Northwestern ties, but like I feel like Maryland's gonna have to make a big splash to kind of reinvent this thing.
They will, and I don't know off the top of my head who it would be, but there's definitely possibilities, and like I could see them making a big swing because like Maryland has money. Like let's be very clear about that. The University of Maryland has money, and so like if they want to go out and try to get a big fish, they can. And with a new AD, I feel like you're going to see that type of aggression.
I got my favorite pick. He doesn't have to move that far. He's in state. Get Baltimore Ravens OC Todd Monken.
There we go. I like that. I like that a
Yeah.
lot.
I mean, he'll leave after 3 years, but he'll be great for 3 years.
It's fine. Maryland hired but they just experienced that with Buzz Williams, so like
Uncle
it's fine.
Uncle Buzz, like he used to leave during dinner a lot, Sunday dinner, like early all the time, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh, like Uncle Buzz is like he is a three-course meal and he'd leave after the second course every single time. That's how he operates.
You remember you were telling me like one time he would take like the appetizer and put it on his plate with his main course, and then he would grab the dessert on the way out. And it's like that cake isn't all for you. Yeah, it is.
What are you gonna do? Stop me? It was all
That's
the appetizer was, most of the time entertaining unless it was soup, in which case he would just pour the soup over like a steak. But other than that, it was fine.
that was Uncle Buzz. That's what he was about. Speaking of Uncle Buzz living in Maryland, talking about Maryland, let's move on to some stuff with some Pat the Doc here. We got some stuff kind of going on here in the Big Ten here with our second half of our show.
Mm.
Notre Dame and USC could be coming to an end after the season. How do we feel about it? Can we keep it alive? Austin Bundy and Alicia Deotola Castillo wrote about this for fansided.com. A lot of interesting wrinkles here. You want to unpack this? You want me to unpack this? But this is something it's not good.
It's not good. It's not good for college football. And like, I on it, like, no, all due respect to our colleague Alicia Diartola Castillo, but this feels like a USC problem right now. Like, it
Mhm.
feels like USC is very self-aware of where their program currently is with Lincoln Riley, and that's not a very good place, not a very healthy place. And on the flip side of that, you have Notre Dame, and like it almost seems like they're trying to duck out of the rivalry to save some face, like wanting like it's a very weird place to be in.
For the record, she's not happy about it. I would frankly say she's
No,
pissed about it
yeah, she's
because
out. She's very pissed about it for sure.
this is also interesting for her because I think she went to like Notre Dame, like the Catholic school in Thousand Oaks,
Right.
and so it's Notre. So she loves Notre Dame high school and hates it in college football. This, but it seems as though like Notre Dame wants to do a long term deal. I think what people talk was like, let's do it. Jim Cohen's like, let's figure it out year by year because the Big Ten wants to know if they're going to get AQ spots into the playoff. I'm going to try to be nice here, but I don't think I can. I'm about to go on a rant here.
Yeah, do it, man. I let the clip let the clip spray.
We're going to rip this magazine a new one here.
That's right.
I'm so tired of the Big Ten being soft about this. This is the exact same vein as what Matt Rule in Nebraska was trying to do. It's like, oh, we play 9 conference games. Oh, we don't want to schedule anybody in the non-conference. Oh, we're trying to get shoehorned into the third or fourth AQ spot here. I'm like, this isn't how college football is built. This isn't how America is built. You go in here and you be tough. I'm playing banged up today. This is the third day in a row. I'm sick. I'm dripping out of my nose like a faucet or a greyhound or something like that. It's like, why college football fans want to see more good games.
Hmm.
I understand that we need autonomy here. I think everybody needs to play 9 conference games. I think they need to have some sort of conference rotational thing. They got to play non-conference things like, look, I'm a Georgia fan. We play Georgia Tech every year. We also schedule teams in the non-conference all the time too. Maybe not this year, but like pretty regularly. We've got
Yeah.
Home with Louisville coming up.
This year
You
is the
did,
outlier. Like truly.
yeah, and North Carolina. I mean, like you guys play schedule South Carolina. You're playing TCU this year.
TCU
You
and UCF, like two power
yeah,
conference teams in the non-con.
like there's chances that teams like this can lose, but like it's more exciting. Like it's not super beneficial for Texas to be playing Ohio State, but I think both programs are fired up about the opportunity to be had because like the loss there is not going to hurt you that badly. The win's going to catapult you, and like it's like we've done a complete 180 from how we
Hmm.
felt about the playoff back in 14. Like, oh, Baylor and TCU had a great year, but they didn't play a conference championship game and they got punished for that. Baylor played nobody in the non-conference. It's like you want to reward people for going out there and trying. And
Hmm.
like SMU, like they lost a tough one to BYU, but because that game was close, that helped get the ponies into the playoff for the first time ever,
Right.
which we didn't think was going to ever happen, but it did.
Right. And like you talk about like programs that are willing to schedule. Like I think the shining example of that, even more so than Georgia, is Clemson. Clemson's willing to play Georgia. Clemson's willing to play LSU. Like they're not afraid of these games. You know what I mean? And like that's I respect Dabo for that. Like, like if you want to be the best, you've got to prove you're the best. And like that's why I come down on it as like USC looking like this is a true, are we sure this isn't the Big 12 because you're too big to be this small? Like it's a true that type of thing that we're looking at because it feels like USC is not like it doesn't feel like they're trying to be the big dog anymore. It feels like they're trying to protect themselves, which is not how you go about this. And like honestly, all you're going to do is piss everyone off and turn everyone even more so against you.
Like USC every year has to play USC or UCLA. They got to play Notre Dame. They don't play Stanford now. Like
Right.
that's ended, and they should still play that. But like Stanford's got to deal with a whole other mess of things here. Like losing rivalries is not good. Like I hate the fact that A&M is a massive culprit with this too in the SEC. Like they
Oh
they
yeah.
they duck Texas, Mizzou, go play Kansas. Just sack up and effing do it.
Yeah,
Like
just do it, man. Like
um but like I think you're absolutely right here that like this is a Jennifer Cohen's like I don't know how much longer Lincoln Riley is going to be here. This feels very Lincoln Riley, just passive nonsense.
yeah, no, it absolutely does. And like I wonder if Cohen and the USC administration like understand that like when you're coming out of this, you're actually like making your rival look better because Notre Dame is handling this like a responsible adult. Notre Dame is like, sure, let's sign a long-term deal, let's do it. And they just like, and USC is the one trying to finagle their way out of this, like trying to like come to the bargaining table. And it's like, brother, it's pretty cut and dry. There's nothing to bargain with here.
Oh, and they're talking about, oh, the schedule, the travel's too much. I'm like, well, you'd play in South Bend every other year forever anyway. And it's like, this is what you signed up for. This is why I always saying, like, this is the one school that's going to have the hardest time going to the Big Ten from the Pac-12 because, like, there's more variance here. And I don't know. I people say, oh, it's always going to be UCLA. Like, the floor is slower. They kind of have an identity. I kind of like the vibes coming out of there westward a little bit more than the main part of Los Angeles. But God, it pisses me off that they want to end this because it's ridiculous.
It's bad for college football, and you know, one of certainly one of the worries with the auto bids for an expanded college football playoff when you're talking about 14 or 16 teams.
I know it's like I guess I got two things before I move on here. So baseball John back in the day.
Yeah,
I didn't make the All-Star team once when I was like 8 or something like that. It was a travesty. And 9 years old, I didn't make it. It was very political back in the day.
of course.
Not nine, I didn't make it. And my dad says, I'm sitting there on my living floor of my mom and dad's house crying. And he's like, how about you just be the first or second best player in your team and stop crying a little bit
Right.
in nicer terms. And then I was basically the first or second player on my team every year for like 4 or 5 years. So
Yeah,
that's something to do here. And okay, let's just say it doesn't work for Lincoln Riley. Let's just say they win like 2 conference games and they're hovering around a bowl game. Jinko fires him. Who do you hire? I think we've probably said Matt Campbell from Ohio State's the guy that I would go get. Do you think he'd be happy to have Notre Dame canceled? I mean, he's got to play Cyhawk every year against Iowa State's will. They don't win that very often. They still got to play 9 conference games. Like, he's not going to run. He's not going to duck anybody. I think he'd
Matt
go for
Campbell's
Matt.
not scared. If
No,
there's one thing I'm sure of, it's that Matt Campbell's not scared. Fan of the opposing teams, he's not scared. I promise you.
and if Ohio State were to hire Matt Campbell, give it 3 years, he's vying for Ohio State for a conference championship there at the Big Ten. Like he's gonna,
100%.
I think he's just a better coach than Dan Lanning and James Franklin. To be honest
Agreed.
with you,
100%. Matt Campbell's a phenomenal coach. He just happens to coach at Iowa State. That's the tough part of it.
tough stuff. Yeah, I didn't know we were both gonna get so fired up. Mostly me, but I'm just like,
we love college football, and we love and like one of the things that makes college football beautiful is rivalries. And like whenever you try to take that away from me, I'm gonna fight you. That's what it comes down to.
I know we love and cover the NFL too, but like the players don't care. The players don't care about the rivalries as much. Like
No.
there's people on the Falcons and Saints have to be told they have to hate each other. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah,
Like,
100%. Like the one person in the Falcons Saints rivalry that probably actually hates the Falcons right now is Cam Jordan, just because he's been around for 15 years at this point, and he's probably like, yeah, I've had enough trips to Atlanta with everyone booing me relentlessly that I'm just really tired of that
I mean,
city.
to what degree do you think Jake Matthews hates the Saints? Probably a lot, but
Yeah.
not yeah. But like, there's not the animus. That's why I love the Bengals, man. They hate everybody.
And everyone hates them too, so it works out.
That's a beautiful thing here, and we're gonna keep going with some Big Ten energy, and we're gonna go with a guy that nobody hates, everybody loves. That'd be a Curt Cignetti.
Smoke if you got them, baby. Coach
Smoke if you got him. I don't know if it
said.
was necessarily him who said this. I think it might have been their athletic director, Scott Dolson. But like, it's a distinct uptick for what Indiana's football. Last year was an incredible start. Where we are paranoid, we don't want to be a one-hit wonder, and we don't want Indiana to be a one-hit wonder either. It was a very interesting article put forth there by ESPN. I'm trying to think who wrote this. This seems like a very okay, Pete Thamel. I'm like, this is either Pete Thamel or Heather Dinich. I
Yeah,
had to come up with
I
that
was gonna
one.
guess Heather Dinich. That seemed like a Heather Dinich article for sure.
Well,
But I mean, Pete doesn't write as often as Heather, so that's probably why I leaned there.
yeah, I think Heather's a IU alumnus too, so that would
Oh
play a role.
yeah.
Yeah, Pete Thamel, UMass.
Yeah.
Dude loves him some college football.
And he loves the ghost of the Minutemen for sure, because that's what we're always battling up there at UMass. But no, I mean, like I me personally, like I don't think they're gonna be a 1-year wonder. Like one of the biggest reasons that Indiana football has been so middling or below middling for so long is the lack of investment. Well, hell, they're investing now. That's a big change. Like you might not be going to the college football playoff every year, but like with Curt Cignetti and like what he's proven as a coach at JMU and now in 1 year at Indiana, like I think his eye for talent, I think his ability to build a culture, build a program is so strong that like I think we're legitimately looking at like a 7-win floor for Indiana. And again, I don't know if the ceiling is always going to be 11 wins. I like some years the ceiling might be 9 wins. That's for Indiana football. If like your range of outcomes is 7 to 9 wins, you're in a damn good spot comparatively.
100%. They talked a lot in the article about recruiting Fernando Mendoza and all the success that Curt Cignetti's had with quarterbacks dating back to, JMU with like Ben DiNucci and
Mhm.
Jordan McLeod and stuff like that.
I
But
can't hear Ben DiNucci. I can't remember. There was some podcast, but they had a Ben DiNucci drop, and it was just the most Italian guy in the world going, Ben DiNucci. And so whenever I hear it, that's what happens in my
Ben
head.
DiNucci, Curt Cignetti. Lee Corso doesn't quite have the same ring to it, but
No, not quite. But we love him nonetheless.
so you're absolutely right. It's all about the investment into Indiana sports, and we saw that with the massive Tom Allen buyout. That
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
significant there. Going out there and getting what was it Darren DeVries after 1 year
Yeah.
at West Virginia. That's big.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, Indiana's not messing around, man.
And I mean, like Mike Whitson's a legend, a legendary player there, pretty good head coach for a long time. But like, it's there's a finite ceiling with him there. Like ousting him, like that's a little tough, but they went big game hunting, and I think there's a reason for that. It has everything to do with their biggest booster. That'd be Mark Cuban, who no longer owns the Mavericks. So
Yeah.
maybe Indiana's becoming the Mavericks of the Big Ten.
Hey, you know what? The Mavericks won a title, so probably not a bad idea.
I can't believe they're getting Cooper Flag.
I mean, the funniest possible outcome is they don't. Like they just take someone else. They take Dylan Harper or whatever.
I just hope that the Mavericks with Nico Harrison or whatever the hell he did with that with Luca. I mean, Luca's body is aging like it's aging like milk or aging like uh our boy Rory McIlroy on a golf course.
Yeah,
Just like
100%.
um I just kind of feel that like the Mavericks, like whoever they draft, just make it some just triple J ranch.
Yeah,
Who's Tony Braxton? Who's gonna mess this thing up?
someone's gonna do it. Don't worry. I mean, you still have Kyrie Irving, so there's that.
There we go. He's got some Jim Jackson tendencies about him.
He does indeed. Just a cult like presence, let's say.
Not that far from Waco.
No, no, not too far at all.
But anyway, like I just feel like it's interesting, like how we've kind of not necessarily come full circle in Indiana. It's been very ebb and flow. It's like they were awful like 2 years ago, and they were fantastic last year. Like they can't be that bad, so they're going to be better. I'm like, I think they might be better than that. They were way better. Now we're like,
Mhm.
okay, maybe they'll pull back, and now we're kind of like, nah, I think they're making the playoff again.
Yeah, I mean, you got one of, I don't want to say the best because I still have respect for Carson Beck, but like top three quarterback in the transfer portal, like that's a big deal. And like, again, I think I said it on Monday, but like, I love Curtis Rourke as a player. Fernando Mendoza is a better player than Curtis Rourke. Like, you upgraded that position. You brought back some talent on the defensive front. Like, this is a team that is not going anywhere. Like, again, I'm not sure that they're going 11-1 again, but like, there's a reason I had them in the 16-team playoff. Like, this is still going to be a damn good football team.
I have a feeling that Fernando Mendoza is the other version, the Big Ten version of the live dog.
Oh,
Like I can't.
100%. 100%.
I was gonna say like how do you say like live in Spanish, but it's pero. But then again, I realized that Fernando and Diego both speak Spanish very
Yeah,
well.
I do not, so I couldn't have answered that
No,
question.
I don't think so. I kind of low key want to see Fernando Mendoza and Diego Pavia get drafted to the same NFL team, like Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders.
Would be incredible. Would be a absolute vibe.
I want to see them both get there for the Heisman Trophy, just hanging out, just
Oh
putting
my
vibes.
God. I mean, the Pavia family apparently is holding some legendary tailgates in Nashville right now. So need to bring that to the NFL level for sure.
They drank a Broad Street dry, and the Parthon's never been the same.
Never been the same. Cooking green chilies like like you do in New Mexico out in the Nashville parking lot. You love to see it.
Did some green chili hot chicken,
Dude, sounds good to me. Sign me up.
I all of my sinuses will just end up on the floor.
Hey, that might be what you need. Forget the Advil, forget the Dayquil, forget the NyQuil. Get you some green chilies, man. Just
Yeah,
clear it
maybe,
out.
or give me some of them Adam Gase smelling salts.
That might make you brain dead, though. That's the thing.
Ammonia has a way. It's the end. It's not ambrosia. It's ammonia. I'm watching The Righteous Gemstones, and I'm just gonna like throw a little bit out there. I know you're gonna. It's on the docket for you, but like
It
one
is.
character called hot milk ambrosia. And I'm like, that's effing disgusting.
That's terrible. Do not sign me up for that.
So no, I don't think that Indiana is going to be a one-hit wonder, but these bands most certainly were. We're going to move on to the last topic of the show with some very impromptu, just like Novocaine,
Yes, sir.
because Curt Cignetti is a man of a certain age, definitely like Sully Sullenberger. Listening to his iPod, I can definitely tell that he was very inspired by the YouTube Vertigo ad and the "Are You Going to Be My Girl" by Jet. So he definitely got some iPod shuffle.
That's right.
And there's a chance that these 6 songs from the 2000s were on his shuffle. So let's get started with some Crazy by Gnarls Barkley. That's probably the best song of that decade. It's so good.
I mean, it absolutely bangs. CeeLo Green, easily identifiable voice, and went with Mike Norvell here. I remember when he lost his mind, went 2-10 after getting snubbed out of the college football playoff, and he hired Gus Malzahn, and I think that might make him crazy. That's a choice that you made for sure.
I don't have Mike Norvell on here. I've got Gus Malzahn coming up here. So obviously I've got two, so there's no overlap. The first one, the guy that says, "It wasn't that I didn't know enough, it's that I knew too much." That's Bill Belichick.
100%.
And the other very poignant line, the emotions of an echo ring in so much space. I feel like that's just everything. That's Jimbo Fisher just reflecting on his life right now.
Yeah, on a pile of like
So
$70 million.
he doesn't have furniture anymore. He just sits in a pile of money in a house that like is just empty because everybody moved out but him.
That's right, exactly. No one could stand to be around him except for Benjamin Franklin.
And I don't know how he feels about Stacy's mom or Fountains of Wayne. Let's go with the pop rock anthem that we all had a certain feeling about.
A phenomenal song. You say "Crazy" is the best song of the decade. No shot. It's Stacey's mom for sure.
Ah,
But I went with Notre Dame. Telling Steve and Jelly they prefer Stacey's mom, CJ Carr over here. She's got it going on. They've waited for so long for a five-star quarterback to be able to take over. Now they got their chance.
I mean, there's a non-serious chance that CJ Carr's mom is Rachel Hunter.
Hell yeah, it is.
um, the okay, there's two guys here. They're both in the SEC, and I'm just going to show them in tandem. They're the coaches for the Battle of Columbia. That's Shane Beamer and Eli Drakewitz.
Hell yes. Hell yes.
Um, Shane Beamer, this is his karaoke song.
100%. I mean, you also picked the two boyish coaches in the SEC for sure.
Like just the vibes of him hanging out in the pool. That was Shane Beamer growing up in Blacksburg with I don't know if it was Stacy's mom, but it was somebody's mom.
It was someone's mom for sure.
And then Eli Trick was just bouncing up and down like a pogo stick, singing "Stacy's mom is got going." Could you imagine if Arrow Field, like if they just played that like Mr. Brightside and everybody's just getting fired up?
I mean, I think you just gave him $1 million idea, is what I just heard.
I mean, we should ask our boss, Megan Melly, if like that should be a Arrow Field. She's gonna be like, no, but
I don't think so.
that kind of offends me. But I understand what you're trying to do here.
Hey, you don't know unless you take your swing.
Could you imagine they played Stacy's mom and when Drew Lock was their quarterback?
Actually, it's actually the new Miami Dolphins album. Shouts to Zach Wilson down there in Miami.
If he wasn't Mormon, he should have played at Mizzou.
That's right.
Okay. So who do you see? We've done Fountains of Wayne, so you've already done yours. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You do the darkness. I'll do mine, and I'm going to come back with you, beautiful, because mine are all tied together. So let's start with the darkness. Is I believe in a thing called love. Who do you got for that?
That's of course my boy Bill Belichick. I believe in a thing called love. Just listen to the rhythm of my pacemaker.
Uh,
No further explanation needed there.
um, so we'll be rocking till the sun goes down. I believe in a thing called love. A guy that would definitely be grinding up on somebody and it's lazy Susan. That's Brian Kelly at Death Valley.
Oh, 100%.
And all these things that are making me feel that's Lenore Sellers. We love Lenore
Oh
Sellers.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And for the next song, "You're Beautiful" by James Blunt. That's just Gus Malzahn singing about Lenore Sellers. It's hard to face the truth. That'll never coach with you. You're beautiful. Let's go, boys.
Beautiful.
And the guy that thinks he fell in love with somebody on a train while he was effing high, that's Brian Ferentz.
Oh, of course, yeah. He was sober. They sold him oregano, but he thought he was high.
On the topic of being sick, have you ever done oregano spirits before?
I have not. What is that?
It's like you do like a dropper, and it's like sort of like oregano cocktail that's supposed to help clear you out,
Hmm.
but you have to drink water afterwards because that stuff might actually kill you.
Oh, okay. Well, good to know. A little dangerous. Living on the
It's
edge.
living on the edge, a little bit of Eastern medicine.
There we go.
All right, who do you got for James Blunt?
That's Justin Wilcox singing it to Fernando Mendoza. Fernando's a good-looking man, but also like he'll never be with him. Like you're not going to keep a guy like Fernando Mendoza at Cal, and Justin Wilcox knows that. I feel like Justin Wilcox must live like a very sad life, like just walking around. Have you ever seen the video for "You're Beautiful"? Because that's all I can think about when I'm doing this. Like just walking around lonely, taking off your clothes in the middle of a snowy Arctic tundra. I imagine that's Justin Wilcox walking around the Cal football field.
And I could see him looking at somebody on the BART there in San Francisco,
Yeah,
California.
exactly.
Uh, Side story. So, at high school, at Walden High School, we used to do the announcements and have like the video that they
Hmm.
would play, and they would do different songs. So, like, whatever was really popular between '04 to '08.
Yeah,
Obviously, this is right in the range there. And somebody put the unedited version in there, and that was into that.
that's when it had to stop.
uh, yeah, it sure did. I got a good question for you. It's from the Baja Man who let the dogs out.
Bro, you know who let the dog out. It's our boy Clark Lee. He let the live dog out of his cage, Diego
Yes.
Pavia. And that's who let the dogs out. Who.
There's no depth to that song, so it's the Antonio Party Rock anthems.
100%.
So it's a big noon kickoff, and Urban Meyer's at the Chop House, and somebody walks in here after he's been partying, and he sees somebody he's not attracted to. He says, "Who let the dogs out?" That, and then they said,
Oh,
um, somebody's like, "Urban, that's that's your coordinator's, that's the Ohio State coordinator's wife and sister-in-law." Uh,
who.
it's a rough start for Matt Patricia there in Columbus.
Tough seeds.
I have no idea what Matt Patricia's wife looks like. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, apologies to Miss Patricia
Yeah.
if she exists.
Also, that'd be also like also like first name.
That's right.
And the guy who definitely listens to the song because I don't think he likes music, but he goes if and when he's working for Georgia, he goes up to his friend Kirby Smart in the coordinator room, and Will Muschamp goes up against the wall, goes, "You want to let the dogs out?" Like Zach Galifianakis. And
That's
then
right.
Coach Boom, he just punches through a dry erase board.
Hell yes, absolutely.
He probably went to Homer Hickam too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, that and like we had to pull him out of the mines. Like he would, everyone else had their pickaxes and their machinery. He had his fist. He was just punching right through the coal.
I don't know what the North Carolina equivalent of what Homer Hickam would be, but the Georgia's probably the Darlington School in Rome. Because that's what Ratledge went to, and he's already been inducted. It's a private school.
It'd probably be like, gotta think. It's probably somewhere like a Charlotte school. Like I don't know enough about the Charlotte schools to really be able to get there. Like I know Weddington is super preppy.
Is it Charlotte Latin School?
Maybe that might be where we're
Daniel,
looking.
Daniel Jones is all about it.
Yeah.
That's some family friends that went there back in the day when they first did that. Because and we'll talk about that off air why that happened. But and our last song here, Asher Roth's "I Love College."
Phenomenal song. Don't care what anyone says. It still goes hard. Um, I normally for just like Novocaine Bueller, I just go vibes. Like I don't really do a whole lot of research. First thing that comes to mind, that's what gets put down on the paper. I did a little research for this, and I found our boy Luke Larson, who is going to be a punter at Villanova at 33 years old this year. He loves some college. He's 30 freaking 3, and you're in college. He loves college. He loves drinking. Yeah.
I wonder if he looks like Jim Croce.
And I mean, to further this, he transferred to Villanova this year from noted party school, probably the biggest party school in the state of North Carolina, East Carolina.
Yes, he was probably in college initially when Asher Roth used the sample from Say It Ain't So by Weezer to make this song happen.
Yep, exactly.
All right. The first guy that really puts off the vibe for that, Carson Beck.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
He's probably saw Asher Roth and it's like, I'm going to Athens, baby. And I'm going to Miami now. And a guy that I definitely think loved college and would put out the vibes was there in school before this happened. That's Pat McAfee.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, no curfew, just, basically having your coach just let you do whatever you want. Sounds like a dream.
Sounds like a dream. And I guess before we close up the program, I do think we need to say rest in peace to Jim Irsay. A really
Yeah,
tough day
absolutely,
for
man.
the Indianapolis Colts. I know, like on the show, we talk a lot of smack about the Colts and everything like that. But this guy was a phenomenal owner. He
Oh
took a
yeah.
team that was really struggling under his dad there in Baltimore, went to Indianapolis, drafted Peyton Manning, empowered Bill Polian, Andrew Luck, just a guy that really cared about his community, his family, his
Yeah.
players, the music and everything. Obviously, he's had some personal issues, but like he loved life and he did everything. I think he played at SMU, so he was like he sort of every role in the Colts organization. And in a way, like this is kind of what you're hoping for out of an NFL owner,
Mhm.
particularly a second generation one, where it's still a huge deal to him. So I feel really, really bad. And harkers out to all the people up there in Indianapolis and the Colts fandom.
No, yeah, absolutely. Our hearts go out to y'all, the Ursay family, the Indianapolis family, and like the Indianapolis family, I think is important because you mentioned like how he reached out to the community. Like 6 hours before his death, he was tweeting like hyping up the Pacers, and like
Yeah.
obviously the Pacers paid that off last night with a pretty thrilling win over the Knicks in Game 1 of the East Finals. But like, dude just bled Indianapolis. Like that's what that would like through and through. He loved like he just had a zest for life, a zest for the city, and like an eccentric dude, no doubt about that, but like in the best possible way. The reason we had so many jokes about the Colts and Jim Irsay in a lot of ways was because he didn't care. You know what I mean? Like he was going to be himself. He was going to do what he thought was the right thing or the cool thing or like the fun thing to do in that moment. And like that you have to appreciate that because there's not many billionaires operating in that space.
No, and also a noted SMU booster as well,
Hmm.
and everything like that. This is a guy that just like he made football, he made everything kind of made it fun. Didn't always make
Yeah.
like the best decisions, but
No.
he made them. And I think that like a lot of his former players and people who've worked with him have nothing but like nice things to say about the guy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I think he was like he might not be the best boss in terms of like running he might not have been the best boss in terms of running an NFL team, but like he was a good boss in terms of how the employees felt about him. And like there's something to be said about that because as as a fan of the Dallas Cowboys, I can't imagine many having nice of things to say about Jerry Jones whenever he passes on.
Yeah, we've had what two NFL owners pass away with Virginia McCaskey, House McCaskey, and then Jim Irsay. Now
Yeah.
it's puts those teams in very tough spot. Also, I think Irsay was born in Chicago, or at least Bob
Yeah.
Irsay was. So
And very surprising too. Only 65 years old. Super sad, man.
I know, man. Like the Pacers might win the NBA Finals for the first time.
Truly.
It's crazy. It's crazy. There's three teams that have never won one that could win their first. It would be the Knicks since like '73 when my dad was like in college. Yeah,
Right.
my dad grew up on the '70s Knicks with like Bill Bradley, Walt Frazier, David
Mhm.
Busher, Willis Reed. Like he grew up on that. Love that team.
Hey man, love to see it.
I don't like the Knicks, but that's okay.
I don't either, but that's fine.
That's fine. And this was episode 177 of Fall Start. You can follow me, John Buhler, on Twitter, the X at Buhler118. You can follow Cody Williams at the Sizzle20. You can follow the show at CFB Fall Start. Like, rate, listen, subscribe, review on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere there's podcasts. Give us a 5-star review. You know, the amount of years, football seasons I saw at Georgia because I love college.
You know, 5 more than the football seasons I saw at UNCW because they don't have a program.
That's, you know, 5 years, 5 more years of eligibility we've got there. But I think at
That's
this
right.
point, like, no, can't even stop my nose from dripping.
Bro, I struggle to like get out of bed in the morning. Like we're not feeling great out
Yeah,
here.
but be sure to give us hit that like button. Hit that like button like a one-hit wonder, you know. Don't be headstrong. You're not trapped. You can do whatever you want here, but you can click on this button if you will.
Oh God, that song sucks. The band is terrible.
It's you know, it was like I really just want to just funnel some Mountain Dew, and then I wonder why I threw up everywhere because I funneled some Mountain Dew.
My, if it's not the consequences of my own action.
uh, even the best fall down sometimes. Somehow I find you and I collide on Fall Start because this is Fall Start.